To help me with this lab today, I have Lou, who is a member of our senior fitness program here at Cal State Fullerton. She will help me go through each of the 10 test items that are on the FAB scale. On item number 1, what I'm going to ask Lou to do is stand with both feet together. She will be asked to place her arms across her chest and, when ready, close her eyes. This is a timed test, and so you'll start your watch as soon as the client closes her eyes. So Lou, would you get into a position where your feet are together, heels and toes touching? And I'd like you now to fold your arms across your chest. And when you're ready, I'd like you to close your eyes. And open. You can put your arms down by your sides and take your feet back to shoulder width position. Very well done. Again, because safety is the highest priority when you're doing any testing with an older adult client, it's important that you perform this test close to a wall or in a corner if you have any concern that the client may lose their balance on this particular test. Be sure to watch the eyes closely to see if they flutter open. That's a sign that the test needs to be stopped immediately. On test item number 2 on the FAB scale, what you're going to be asking your client to do is to reach forward to retrieve a pencil that's positioned 10 inches away from their outstretched hand. To set up to do this particular activity, you'll need a ruler. You'll ask your client to face you directly. Extend one arm horizontally. You'll position the ruler at the edge of the fingertips, and the pencil will be located right at the 10-inch mark on the ruler. They will then lean forward, retrieve the pencil from your hand and return to their starting position without moving their feet. So you ready to do that for me, Lou? I'd like you to lean forward, retrieve the pencil, and return to your starting position. Very nicely done. It will be important on this particular test item, if your client is unable to reach the pencil, after a few moments of watching them attempt to reach it, that you do indicate to them that they may take a step to retrieve the pencil. They will obviously score lower on the test item, but it will give them an opportunity to be able to actually perform the task. It is a little more difficult to position yourself because of your actual position relative to the client and the pencil, so it is very important that you do position the client in a corner of the room should they lose balance. Because you're standing in front of them, they're going to come towards you, which assists them remain safe. Performing a full circle, first to the right and then to the left, is the activity that will be performed on item number 3 on the FAB scale. Again, as you have done with all other items, it's important that you first demonstrate this activity. Unlike the Berg balance scale, where this particular test item is timed, on the FAB scale, what you'll be looking to see is that the client is able to perform the full circle in 4 or fewer steps to the right and to the left. So it is important that you pay attention to the feet as they're turning in each circle. So Lou, what I'm going to ask you to do on this particular test item is I'm going to ask you to turn first to your right, come back to the front, pause, and then turn to the left. Whenever you're ready. Very well done. Again, it is important that you stand close enough to your client that you could assist them should they experience a loss of balance on the turn. Again, positioning them close to a wall or in a corner of a room will enhance the safety while you're performing this particular task. On test item number 4 on the FAB scale, you're going to ask your client to do a step swing through on a 6-inch bench. They'll perform it first with the right leg leading, then they'll turn and perform it with the left leg leading. I'll first demonstrate the task before asking the client to actually perform it. So Lou, on this particular task, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to step onto the 6-inch bench with your right foot leading, swing the left leg up and directly over the box, turn, come back in the opposite direction, stepping onto the box now with the left leg, swinging the right leg up and directly over the box. So leading with the right leg to begin. And turning, and now leading with the left leg in the opposite direction. Very nicely done. It is important to ensure the safety of your client that you do move through the activity with them as they're stepping onto the box. The two areas of this activity where they're most likely to lose balance will be when they first step onto the box and go into single leg stance, or perhaps as they're turning to come back in the opposite direction. Again, it is important that you position the box close to a wall and that you do follow them through the activity to ensure that they're safe throughout the whole performance of the activity. On test item number 5 on the FAB scale, you're going to ask your client to perform a tandem walk along a line that's marked on the floor. In order to do this activity, what you're going to do is place a piece of masking tape down on the floor that is a distance that is much longer than it would require the older adult to perform the tandem walk. You're looking to see that they're able to complete 10 complete steps before asking them to stop. As you have done in the previous FAB test items, it is important that you do demonstrate the task before they actually perform it. What I'd like you to do, Lou, is I'd like you to start at the end of the line, place your foot on the line, and begin tandem walking so that the heel is directly in contact with the foot as you walk along the line. I'd like you to complete as many steps as you can before I tell you to stop. Whenever you're ready. Well done. Again, just as it is important on any of the items on the FAB scale, you do need to be in a close supervisory position with your client and following along the line as they move. You'll notice that Lou began and had a slight interruption. If they interrupt on the very first tandem walk, it is suggested that you do start the tandem walk again. Watch the feet very closely as they perform this task because you're looking for interruptions. An interruption would be if they failed to contact the heel with the toe on any step, or if they stepped away from the line. Count the number of interruptions over the course of the 10 steps, and you'll have your score for the tandem walk. On test item number 6 on the FAB scale, you're going to be asking your client to do a one-legged stance. Again, because this is an activity they may not do on very many occasions, it is important that you allow them a few moments to explore and determine which leg is the leg they would prefer to perform the task on. As you have done in the previous test items, it is important to demonstrate the activity before you ask the client to actually perform it. Lou, what I'd like you to do on this particular task is you'll be standing with your arms folded across your chest, and when you are ready, you're going to raise one foot off the floor and hold it until I ask you to return it to the floor. Whenever you're ready. And place your foot back on the floor. Very nicely done. Again, as I just demonstrated, it is important to be in close proximity to your client so that you ensure their safety at all times during the performance of the task. On test item number 7 on the FAB scale, your client is going to be asked to step independently up onto 2 foam pads that are placed on top of one another. To ensure that they don't slip, it is extremely important that you do place non-slip material between both of the foam pads. As you've done again in your previous test items, it is important to demonstrate this activity. What I'm going to ask you to do on this activity, Lou, is to step up onto the foam. Your feet are shoulder width apart. You'll place your arms across your chest, and when you are ready, you'll close your eyes. I'll tell you when to open your eyes. And when you're ready, close your eyes. And open. You can bring your arms down to your sides and safely step off the front of the pads. Thank you. Again, this is an item that is particularly difficult for many older adults to perform. You're looking to make sure that they're able to step independently up onto the foam. If you have to assist them in any way to get onto the foam, they would immediately score a 0 on this particular activity. Also be sure that once they've completed the activity that you do assist them to step off the foam so that they are completely safe throughout the activity. Again, ideally, it's important to position the foam in the corner of a room so that you can optimize the safety of your client while performing this particular task. On test item 8 of the FAB scale, what you're going to ask the client to do is to perform a 2-footed jump for distance. Now, this is not a standing broad jump. All you're looking to see that the client is able to do is jump twice the length of their feet. So prior to starting this particular activity, you do need to measure the length of their feet. Simply double that number, and that will be the minimum distance that they need to jump in order to have accomplished the goal of jumping twice the distance of their feet. It's also helpful if you put a piece of masking tape down on the floor and hold a small piece in your hand so that you can quickly place it on the floor at the position of the furthermost back heel after the landing has been completed. Again, as you've done before in all of the other test items, you need to demonstrate this task before asking the client to perform it. So Lou, what I'm going to do on this test item is I'm going to do a 2-footed jump to 2-footed landing. So what I'd like you to do is jump 2 feet to 2 feet. And if you're able to, stand in this position until I ask you to move. So before again beginning the test, what you're going to do is measure the distance of your client's foot. In this case, Lou's feet are 10 inches long. Because she's standing behind the line, after she's completed her 2-footed jump, you'll be able to measure the distance from the line to her furthermost back heel, and that will give you the distance for the test. Whenever you're ready, Lou, 2 feet to 2 feet. And you can walk forward. Lou jumped a distance of 31 inches, which is clearly more than twice the distance of her feet. Well done, Lou. Again, because this is a very difficult task and one that is prone to a loss of balance, it is extremely important that you do monitor your client very closely. Stand to the side and follow them through on the jump. Their safety is much more important than you getting an accurate measure. If you need to, simply do the test again. Your first concern is the safety of your client. On item 9 of the FAB scale, we'll be doing walk with head turns. The goal in this activity is for the individual to be able to walk to the time of a metronome that's set to 100 beats. The head turns will be approximately 30 degrees. So the goal of the participant will be to walk in a straight line, turning the head on a 30-degree angle in time with the metronome. So Lou, just to get used to the turning of the head while you're listening to the metronome, we're going to start with you in a standing position. So what I'd like you to do for me is I'd like you to turn your head on a 30-degree angle that's about to the excursion of your shoulders while you're listening to the beat. And whenever you're ready, start walking. Keep that head turning. And stop. Nicely done. And that's item number 9, walk with head turns. On the final test item on the FAB, we're actually going to do what's called a reactive postural control test. It's very important that the client not be aware of what is going to happen on this particular activity. So in some cases, if you're doing this test in a group, try to take the person out of the room so others are not aware of what you're actually doing with the client, so they get ideas. What I'm going to ask Lou to do on this particular test is turn away from me. I'm going to position my arm right between her shoulder blades with a fully extended arm. My elbow is locked. I'm going to position my feet so one foot is forward of the other so that I can maintain good balance. And then I'm going to instruct her to lean back into my arm. While I'm continuing to give the instruction, I will release the arm, I will flex at the elbow very quickly so she's forced to take at least one step to reestablish her base of support. So let's try that, Lou. I'm going to put my arm fully in your back. Would you lean back into my hand until I tell you to stop? Very nicely done. As you can see, Lou required a couple of steps to regain her balance, but was able to do so without my manual assist. On this particular test, for both your own safety and the safety of your client, it's extremely important that you actually do this test in the corner of a room so that you yourself can be backed up into the wall if the client does lose their balance. This will ensure the safety of your client and also make it a much more safe activity for you to do also. So our 10 items on the FAB balance scale are now completed. As you can see, this is a much more difficult test for the client to perform than the Berg balance scale. So it is very important that you carefully choose which one of the two tests is most appropriate for the client that you're going to be working with. Thank you very much for your attention.